Welcome back. You're watching Business Morning on Channels Television. Just before we start talking about the CBN's latest forex policy and how it's affecting the economy, let's talk a little bit more about the the state's desire to generate more revenue. Now, Kwara State is re-strategizing its revenue generation capabilities by revising and implementing new rules and approaches. Channels Kwara State correspondent Hakeem Garba sits down with the Chief Economic Assistant to the Governor, Yomi Ogunshola, for the details of the recent new bill on internal revenue.
Really, we are doing a lot of reforms. Our reforms is focused on, diversifying the economy. The Internal Revenue Services that the law has just been passed for is just an aspect of the total reform. But yes, you are right. The idea is to diversify the revenue base of the state, and also diversify the sources of the revenue and make them much more efficient. So the Internal Revenue Service is for efficiency in collection process. Like just any other business, it requires that you look at it from time to time. You bring in some new things and new processes. So what we are actually doing is we are introducing a lot of technology into the way we do it. We've seen some shortfall in the law that we had before, which we have addressed. That's why you have a new law. We also want to have new caliber of people. So it's people, technology, and processes. That's the changes that we're bringing into the system.
Does it mean the agency started with responsibility before now will be abolished, or what exactly will happen to that agency?
We have a new agency as given by the new law. What we want to do is to provide all the resources that the new agency will require to meet today's demands. So what we have is, like I said, is about technology. We are investing a lot into technology. The Bureau of Internal Revenue that we had before was not, they were doing a lot of things manually. So we are investing in technology, we are investing in processes right now. That's what we don't have before.
Do we say the government is trying to block leakages?
Yes, of course, definitely. That's the first priority. That's why I said it's about efficiency. So, our inefficient system, the inefficient system that we had before, allows for a lot of leakages, and which we are focused on blocking.
How would the private sector receive the news that a new agency has been established to collect tax, the private sector in particular?
Specifically, we are targeting the informal sector. That's on the one side. But we want something we want a situation where it will not be that we are forcing people. It will be self-compliance. When I talk about, processes, and I talked about technology, some people also want to pay. But if you don't give them the platform for ease of payment, you don't want someone to go to the bank and queue for 1 hour because he wants to pay maybe a fine of 100 naira. So you must also give them the platform. So in terms of processes and technology, we also want it to be easy for people to comply with whatever taxes or levies or anything they want to pay the government. So that's what we're trying to do. The Internal Revenue Services, the new one that has just been that we are trying to bring on now, is actually to ease off the issue of tax duplication or excessive taxes on the people. Because right now, once you pay, we know who you are, we know what you have paid for, and we have a code for it. So you don't have this ministry coming to you, taxing you, that ministry coming to you. So we are going to ease out the issue of multiple tax burden on the people completely. Luckily, there was a public hearing that was done, and already in the law, a lot of private concerns have been addressed at the public hearing, and they are actually happy. I know that the various chambers of commerce here, they were at the public hearing, and they expressed their readiness to work with the new revenue services.
That was the Kwara State Chief Economic Advisor to the State Governor, Yomi Ogunshola. Well, Bosin is back here with me in the studio for us to talk more about it. Bosin, it's a very interesting one, especially since we know that... No. I can't have you going off on me too early.
This is another money.
Yes, it is. You see, and it's coming at a very apt time. You know, now that states have actually been told to look inwards and see how much more money you can generate. And the Kwara State government is very determined to achieve that with the signing of this bill.
One of the things that this has been, the FRS, and I'm sure the Ministry of Finance over the last couple of years have harped on consistently to the state governments that they need to reform their State Inland Revenue Service. They need to look at state laws applicable to tax. The Joint Tax Board, what we call the JTB, have issued similar instructions. Look, you can generate so much, but then it depends on how you decide to go about it. Lagos has provided itself as an example of how you can, well, I don't want to use the word democratize, but how you can reform your tax system at a state level. Once you enhance tax collection, whatever, at the state level, it makes it easy for you to generate more. And again, that means that what goes into the federation account is also increases. The level of inefficiencies at the states and local governments level affects the federal government. So if you have roots of a particular tree that is not bringing in enough nutrients, the leaves and the fruits of the tree will show. So if you keep blaming the federal government, we need to look downwards and see, are we efficient, structurally speaking, in every way possible at the federal and state levels. Now that is it. But look at what the FRS has done. The first 6 months, 1.8 trillion, almost 2 trillion that was generated in the first 6 months of this year. If you loop that over the next 6 months, perhaps we're looking at about 3.6, almost 4 trillion naira. So that shows that, yes, there's so much money to be made, but the interesting part of that is that the private jet owners tax already.
We're going to be talking a little more about that, Bosin, but let me quickly cut you here. We've got this other issue that's on tap for Business Morning today, and that's the decision by the Central Bank of Nigeria to stop foreign exchange sales to certain segments of the economy. Now, this has generated reactions, some positive, some negative across the board. We're talking more about this morning. With me is Tope Fashionwa. He's an economist and policy analyst. He joins me from our Abuja studio. Good morning, and thank you so much for coming through.
Good morning.
Well, let's talk a little bit more about this. Give us your view on the latest CBN restriction of forex sourcing for some select imported items.
Thank you. I think it's an apt decision. I mean, if you look at the list of items that the central bank has said, look, we will not be selling cheap forex to you guys. You see that by every means, no nation should actually encourage the cheap importation of those items. I remember that at the last CIBN dinner, that's the Institute of Bankers, the new governor of CBN then, he actually made very clear statements to the effect that he would not actually, he wondered why Nigeria should be importing things like milk and so on. I'm still waiting for anybody that would actually justify the importation of eggs. I mean, I don't know how that works actually, but so to a large extent, what the CBN is saying is that we will not be selling cheap funds to you if you're dealing in this, and that's also a way of encouraging local producers. For example, I can see here rice, cement, margarine, palm kernel, and so on. I mean, how do we encourage local producers if we are actually selling cheap forex to the importers of these items? So I think it's pretty much on point, if you ask me.
Well, taking a look at that list also, you will find out that we have some items including iron rods and steel. Now, that's one sector of the economy that is still yet to pick up production as quickly and as fast as we want it to. Should that also be included on the list, or should the Central Bank of Nigeria begin to look at reviewing that list and taking some items off it?
I mean, the point is you can actually take a comb through it and actually critique each and every item, but at least for me, I think that at least a statement has been made, and you know, an effort has been made towards you know, making a statement that some things are unacceptable. For example, the steel sector. A few reforms have happened in the steel sector in Nigeria, even as we speak. I remember that Alaja Steel has been bought over by, I think it's the Stallion Group or someone, and I heard that they've started producing, you know, very well. If that is the case, we need to encourage those ones a little bit more. You know, taking a comb through this list and saying, okay, why is steel there? You know, at least if they get it right 90% or 95%, then so be it. But again, I want to, for those who actually support a total liberalization of the economy, for example, I want to remind them that even in some of the most liberalized economies around the world, they still protect their industries. For example, the United States particularly protects the steel industry and also protects its agricultural industry. You can't just bring in anything there, you know. So this is a good statement, and I think that this is also, I view this as a call for people to establish businesses around this line because they know that they have an advantage, you know, over importers in this area. What the CBN has said is that you can use your own funds, but they will not be selling cheap funds to people who are actually importing these items.
Let's quickly take a break, and we'll come back and continue this conversation. But when we come back, we'll be looking at how this forex control will impact on domestic industrial production capacity.